This right here is the brand new DJI Action 6, and we are going to compare it to
the DJI Action 5.
Oh, you nailed that one. That was so good. High five. This thing has a brand new square sensor and variable aperture. I'm going to explain why those two things are so important, but we will kind of talk about, like, does this one have that much of an advantage over that one? Or is that one like a smoking deal now that this one's out? So everything that is new with the DJI Action 6, we're gonna talk about that today. And again, how it compares to
the DJI Action 5.
Nice, high five. All right, let's take a look at the DJI Action 6. Now, again, we are going to go over all the features of this camera, really focus in on the square sensor and the variable aperture and why those two are a big deal to some people. Me for sure, but maybe not you. Let's figure out who you are. And yes, there will be comparisons of this camera and the GoPro 13 and the Ace Pro 2, but you're also going to see today that these guys looked at those guys and kind of went, we can do some of the things that you can do. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Now, the very first thing that we need to talk about is that square sensor, a 1/1.1 inch square. So a normal sensor like on the Action 5 or any of these other cameras, actually not on the GoPro, on the Ace Pro and the Action 5, we've got a 4x3 rectangular sensor. Most sensors are rectangular. My Sony sensor is rectangular. Most of the iPhone sensors are all rectangular. What does a square sensor allow you to do though? Well, there's something called open gate. If you've never heard that term in the cinema world, essentially like my A7C II here, my big camera, what you're looking at right now, this is 16:9. Now, there's actually more sensor above and below what you're seeing on screen right now because the sensor is 4x3, so the sensor is actually taller than what you're seeing. You're kind of seeing like a slip of that sensor. Now, that camera does not allow me to shoot in 4x3 mode to film the entire sensor. What that would allow me to do is right now I could take this frame and there would be information above it and below it. So if like in post I was like, oh no, I shot my thing like this, I cut off my head. In post, I could just move the frame up and use that top portion of the sensor. So what GoPro did, like why this was really cool, is they put an 8x7 sensor in there, not a perfect square, and then they allowed us to shoot in an 8x7 mode. Now these guys said, oh, 8x7, that's cute. We're gonna do 1x1, a perfect square, which means that in post, you can not only move your 16:9 frame up and down, but you can also take a 9x16 frame out of that for Instagram, and you have a ton of headroom and a ton of down here. You really get like a really good 16:9. So another big note on here is that the Action 6 does not come with, where's it at? Does not come with a vertical cage. The Action 5, the Action 4 all had these vertical cages so that you can mount the camera vertically. With this guy, because you have a 1x1 sensor, there's no need to mount it vertically. You just mount it like this, and then you just decide in post if you're gonna cut out a vertical or a horizontal. You can do that in camera. Like I can have the camera like this and I can tell it I wanna shoot a 9x16. Now, the reason that I say like, is this a giant leap upgrade over the Action 5 is that on that 1/1.1 inch sensor, we have 13.5 stops of dynamic range, about the same that we already had on the Action 5 Pro, rectangular sensor, but about the same dynamic range. So the final image coming out of these two cameras is about the same quality. Like you're not seeing a huge jump in quality from this guy to this guy, except when we get to the variable aperture, but the amount of dynamic range is about the same. So just side by side, when you see them like in bright daylight conditions, you're not gonna see a huge difference from this guy to this guy, but that square sensor does allow you to reframe much better in post for both horizontal content and vertical content. And in that 1x1 mode, we can go up to 4K 60, but of course this camera in 4x3 mode can go up to 4K 120 frames a second, 2.7K 120 frames a second, and 1080 240 frames a second, which is very, very slow, but it's at 1080, so, you know, But of course, we do still have DLog-M in here, 10-bit recording, so the image coming out of here it's wildly good. Like, to be fair, like this is probably the best visual like looking image coming out of an action camera right now that I think that we've seen. Physically though, it is a tiny bit bigger than the Action 5. Like this guy is a little bit taller. It's not thicker so much. Like if you look at the thickness is almost identical. I think that it is like the tiniest bit longer and the tiniest bit taller than the Action 5. Now, this guy is the smallest and lightest of the action cameras out there at 146 grams, and even though this got a little bigger, it's still only 149 grams, which is lighter than both the GoPro and the Ace Pro 2. These guys are coming in at 154 grams and 177 grams for this guy. So if you still are looking for like the most lightweight of the action cameras, this is the newest, lightest weight camera that's out there, unless you wanted to go for the Action 5 and save 3 grams. We still got the same button layout on there. The microphone ports changed a touch. Side doors are about the same. We kind of got that new like slide lock bit on the Action 6 on the battery door as well. Like slide over, push up, and then you can open. But then we also have a new dual direction mount. We got this with the Nano, and now we have it for the Action 6. So I can mount my camera that way, and then I can turn it around and mount it this way without worrying like, oh, am I putting it on the right way? And then you'll see that the lens is a little larger on the Action 6, which is kind of a bummer because that means that old like ND filters or any sort of lens attachments for this guy cannot fit on the Action 6. This is a new size, so we do have new ND filters for this and have a bit of like a friction set on there with a little rubber ring on the inside. But new ND filters, anything lens related for the Action 5 will now not fit on the Action 6 because it did get a little bit larger for that different sensor and, again, the variable aperture, which we're so close to talking about. First, though, let's talk about the battery, which is the same. We still have a 1950 milliamp battery in there, same as the Action 5 Pro, same as the Osmo 360, which, again, DJI in their ecosystem. This is giving us 4 hours of recording at 1080 and 200 minutes at 4K 30. Now that is, that's quite impressive. We also have the same little 3-pack of batteries. So if you've got 3 batteries in here, then you have 600 minutes or 10 hours of recording at 4K 30 frames a second. Comes with a little combo kit. I always say like get the Adventure combo kit because yeah, you get everything in here. Everything you need to get started. Now we do have 50 gigabytes of internal storage now. On the Action 5, we had 48 gigabytes. So there's 2 extra gigabytes that it seems like they just didn't use for system files, and now they're giving it to us. But again, 50 megabytes of internal storage is like, I think it's an hour and 20 minutes of actual 4K 30 record time. But if I put a 512 gigabyte card in here, which is like $40 online, I think I'm getting over 12 hours of record time. Check my notes, 12 hours and 52 minutes. So almost 13 hours of record time with a single 512 gigabyte card. So yeah, having the internal storage, like it is nice, but I could also just put one card in there and go on an entire vacation and never worry about filling up my card. Okay, let's get to the variable aperture. Maybe the coolest thing about this new action camera. And now it goes from, this guy had a aperture of f2.8. Aperture means the size of the opening, which allows light in. So the lower the number goes, the bigger that opening goes, the more light comes in and the better low light we get. And I think a lot of people don't know what that means, the difference between f2.8 and f2. All right, the ultimate low light test, the Carlsbad sign at night. Now we have the Action 6 at f2 and the Action 5 Pro at f2.8. Now, if you don't know photography, that is twice as much light. The difference between f2 and f2.8 is double the amount of light the lens is actually able to take in. So in theory, the Action 6 should look twice as good as the Action 5 Pro. Now the cool thing about that variable aperture though is that it does mean that in low light it can go to f2, but f2 wouldn't be great in action scenarios, so then it can variably change up to f2.8 or even jump up to f4 when there's just like a crazy amount of light. It's able to stop down to f4
and then everything is perfectly in focus. What do you think though? Does this look like double the amount of light on the Action 6? It looks, on the screen, it looks good.
Yeah, double the light is crazy. And look, when you look at these cameras and you go, oh, they're fixed f2.8, it's kind of because it's a compromise, right? Like they're not f4, they're not f2, they're like, we wish we could do both of those things. We wish we could do all of those things well. Go down to f2 for low light scenarios, go up to f4 for like tons of depth of field when you're filming action sports. So the compromise is f2.8, and with this guy, there is no more compromise. It can go all the way down to f2, twice as much light as this guy to do low light. So now it's just letting in a ton of light, and then when you get out into super bright scenarios, it can rack up to f4, does it automatically, goes to f4, and now you get tons of depth of field, and you don't have anything blurry at all. And the f4 stuff is cool, but I would say the f2 stuff is the coolest. Like the low light coming out of this thing is kind of wild. We shot it in a parking garage when we went on this little vacation. We went to this like diner that we go to that is so dark all the time. Like I can never film with my phone there, and now I can film pretty easily with this thing. Like it actually looked pretty dang good. And then I brought this with me to shoot a music video. I was in Los Angeles last week shooting a music video, and I had this thing on my bite mount. I don't know where my bite mount's at, but I had it on the bite mount, and I was doing it with the bite mount while I'm filming this like insane music video in super low light. If you know much about cinema cameras, they shoot at higher ISOs, so you have to end up in like very like low light scenario to be able to get a clean image. And in that super night mode, we can go to 4K 60. So we can't do 4K 120, 4K 60 is where we cap off at. Now when it comes to audio on this camera, there's not anything new, I don't think, because there wasn't much to fix from this guy. 3 built-in omnidirectional mics. It sounds pretty good in camera. All right, here is the audio straight out of camera for the Action 6. This is what the internal mics sound like. Actually, I should stand. This is like more like an arm's length away. This is kind of, you know, if you were vlogging with this camera, this is the built-in microphones. But of course, because
Whoa, where'd you go? Because it's DJI, we can wirelessly pair 2 microphones to the camera. So Eleanor, come back here. Say anything you want that you want to tell the world. What do you want to tell them?
Today I'm working on a video with my dad.
Oh gosh, melt my damn heart. Having a lav on you means that wherever you go or wherever the other person goes, both of you are mic'd up, and it is always wirelessly beaming to the camera, and it just makes life really, really easy.
Ecosystem in the future. Ecosystem is what is going to win the action camera race. So whoever ends up like really taking a big lead out of these 3 contenders, it'll be because of ecosystem. Just like film looks, we now have 6 new film looks on the Action 6 Pro. Action 6. Action 6. Oh, that's a note. This was called the Action 5 Pro, and this one's just called the Action 6. They dropped the whole Pro thing. But 6 new film looks that if you wanted to, you can bake into your footage. And they kind of do it like percentage. So all 6 film looks you can put at 30, 50, 70, or 100%. 100% is very heavy-handed. And then still waterproof down to 20 meters. So this is, I think, the deepest of the waterproof ability here. We've got the depth gauge still on there, color temperature sensor still on there. Now though, we have some new lenses. Remember we had like, what was it, the boost lens for this guy? There's a new boost lens for this guy because again, the lenses are this different sizes. So this boost lens can't fit this new camera, but there is a new boost lens. I don't have it yet. They didn't send it to me. What they did send me though was the macro lens. The macro lens is a big piece of glass. Like this is a heavy piece of glass, and you'll see on there that we can go all the way from full macro to person to mountain. And you can see like that does, you know, significantly increase the size of the camera, but now it gives me the ability to go all the way down to a close focusing distance of 11 centimeters. So 11 how far is 11 centimeters? 11 centimeters. So if I put my camera here, this is how close to anything you can get. You can get that close, 11 centimeters. And it'll be in focus. And then when you're like, you know, holding it out and you're filming yourself, you just kind of dial that up to the little person mark on there, and now you're filming yourself. And then when you want to film anything that's like far, far away, now I just flip to the mountains and everything is in focus. Kind of nifty. The boost lens boosts you to 182 degree field of view. So you're going from what is already a crazy wide field of view to 182 degrees. But again, I don't have that lens. Maybe I'll make an Instagram reel when they send it to me. Okay, that is everything new with the DJI Action 6. Everything kind of from the Action 5 Pro to the Action 6. A few things that they kind of picked up on from the GoPro and the Ace Pro 2. And now there's not a lot of areas that this isn't the best front-facing action camera on the market. The Action 6, not the Action 6 Pro, just the Action 6 from DJI. I'll see you soon. Dance party, dance party. Ooh, ooh, ooh. What do you call that move? The selfie? You call it the selfie? I call this dance move the selfie.